Hello and welcome to Football City. My name is Marcus Lee and I want to put the question out there. When is the right time to take a break from football? When is the right time to take a step back and say, you know what? I love the beautiful game. However, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to take a back seat. I'm not going to keep an eye on the scores. I'm not going to worry about what my team is doing. I'm not going to keep a close eye on what is happening. I'm not going to worry about what's going on in the rest of the league. What happens, happens. It is what it is, but I'm taking a breather. I'm not going to be involved as much. Now, those seem like mad questions to ask on a football channel called Football City. Please subscribe. But I'm coming at this from a perspective of mental health and well-being. So I'm going to put that out there. I've got a couple of thoughts to share with you. I want to share a conversation that I had with someone that really got me thinking about this. And I'd love your feedback and your comments and let me know what you think in the comment section. So just for a bit of context, I'm a Manchester United fan. I've said that in the channel if you've watched any of the past videos, but I'm a Man United fan, been following the team for over 30 years, seen some highs, seen some lows. Yes, some people call me a glory supporter because I started supporting in the early 90s. But yeah, I've seen Champions League treble wins. I've seen my team concede 5, 6, 7 goals to our rivals. So, I've been there for the entire time. But at the moment, supporting Manchester United doesn't seem too glamorous. One week we're winning games, we're struggling to win. The next week we lose another week, and then people are calling for the head of Ruben Amorim, saying that his system doesn't work. So, there's all of that up and down. However, I also know there are other teams out there. You support another team, and it'll be much more challenging supporting your team. Your team might be in Championship, League One, League Two, fighting relegation, facing administration. So yeah, I understand that in comparison to Man United, supporting your team might be much more challenging, and that's what we all go through as football fans. But with Manchester United, I feel like the team is always out there in the public eye, in the public arena, because we live in an age of content where it is always on. Now, when I was a kid, in terms of access to football, and I couldn't really go to football games because I didn't have the money to do that, and my family didn't have the money for me to do that. So in terms of access to football, I had access to Football Focus. If I was lucky, I could listen to it on the radio. We had Final Score. You had the guy reading out the results in that voice where he went, Manchester United 2, Leeds United 0. And then we had Match of the Day on an evening. And if I was lucky and, mum had gone to bed, I could watch that. That's what we had in terms of access to football in my day. Fast forward 30 years, the landscape has changed. We have so much content now. You've got games that play, and then within moments, the highlights are available on YouTube. We have so many content creators on social media that do watch-alongs, reaction videos, vlogs, etc. There is so much access to it and people giving their opinion. And I understand, yes, I am one of those people online also giving my opinion. There's so much access to football and it's a wonderful thing. Now, despite it being a wonderful thing, I also think about social media as being both a blessing and a curse, because whilst I was a young person, if I saw my team win or lose on a Saturday, I had to wait until Monday at school when I saw my school friends before we could talk about those results and go back and forth and take the mickey out of each other and do all of that stuff. Now we're living in an age of social media, WhatsApp, where if your team's losing or your team's just lost, your mates message you and have a laugh at you and take the mickey, and you've got to just take it on the chin. But how you take it on the chin and how you feel about that is where I talk about taking a break from football. Because yes, sometimes your mate's team loses and you laugh at them and they've got to deal with it, and then your team loses and they message you and you've got to take it on the chin and be laughed at. But I always think however you respond to that and however you feel about your team loses is all about what's going on up here and what's going on in your world and what's going on in your life and how does that affect your mental health. So, for example, I've seen my team, Man United, do very well, do great things. And I've also seen my team lose. And I've seen my team lose and not care that much. I think about a time when we lost 4-0 to Chelsea. This was under Mourinho. When Mourinho managed United, Chelsea were managed by Antonio Conte, and we lost 4-0. And I watched the game in a pub with my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, and it really didn't matter that we lost. You know why? Because I was happy, I was in love, I was in this new relationship, and life was good. We lose 4-0, so what? There's bigger things in the world. It's just a game of football. However, there's also times in my life where my team have lost, to scorelines that weren't as bad as that 4-0, and I felt absolutely gutted, absolutely broken. And I've got another video on my channel. I'll put a card up there somewhere which explains why I felt the way I felt when I saw England lose. Because it's always about what else is going on in our life that affects how we respond. So to bring it back to this concept of being less involved in football and why that might be a good thing sometimes, I think about this work example. I was working on a video production project, and sometimes I work on projects where I'm going to work with a group of people for a period of time. And what I always tend to do on projects is, when I'm trying to break the ice to make the whole video production process smoother, is I try to find common ground with people. I talk to them. I try to find out what their interests are. And one of the great things about football is it's a great icebreaker, because for the majority of people who watch football, and a lot of people I meet do, whoever you support, you can always find common ground in talking about England, if England are playing, or if there was a mad refereeing decision on Saturday that everyone's talking about. So you can find that common ground to talk to people about. And then I always talk to people about the teams they support. And I was talking to this one particular guy, and I asked him about his team, and then I started talking about the Champions League, and I said, "Oh, how do you think your team are going to progress in the Champions League?" And he was like, "Oh, I didn't realise we were in the Champions League." And I was like, "What? How can you not know that your team are in the Champions League?" I mean, my team, Man United, aren't in the Champions League. We rarely are these days, and I know that I'd be full on supporting, following them if they were. And I thought, how can you not know that your team are in the Champions League? Like, are you a real fan? But then I started thinking as well, is he a real fan? Or who am I to say if he's a real fan or not? I mean, to be a real fan, do you have to watch every game? Do you have to know every single thing that's happening about your team? Do you have to be the guy who wears the full kit? Do you know what I'm saying? And have all of the merchandise? And then I started thinking as well, him not knowing what's going on with his team, maybe, just maybe, that's quite a nice thing. To not be so invested in every single game, because when Man United are playing, I want to know what's happening. I want to watch every minute of the game. There are times when I can't watch every single game because I've got other things happening, whether it's work, whether it's family commitments, or family. You can't watch every minute of every game. And whilst I love watching Man United, I also like to see what's going on in the Premier League as well. I want to watch other games. I want to watch, the big games on a Sunday afternoon. I want to watch Monday Night Football. I want to watch, I just want to watch Champions League. I love football, but I can't watch every single game. And sometimes I wonder, what would it be like if I wasn't so heavily invested in football? What if I took my focus away from that and maybe focused on some other hobbies? My other hobbies involve like cinema. I love music. I love the gym. Especially as I get older, I want to keep fit, and I want to get older and be fit. So what if my focus was less on football and on some of these other things, and the stress of sometimes following a team? And like I say, Man United are a team, the team that I support, but compared to other teams where you might be facing relegation or administration and getting beat on the regular, and you haven't won as many trophies as Man United have in the past 30 years. I appreciate it's probably tougher for you, and you wouldn't have the stresses that Man United fans have. But if I didn't watch Man United as much, would I experience less stress? And that's a really interesting thing to think about. And I think about when you follow a team and you follow it to the level where you're stressed out, you're anxious, you get angry if your team lose, it spoils your weekend, it spoils your mood, and maybe there's other things going on maybe you're going through a difficult time in your life. Maybe you've got some relationship drama, or maybe you've got some health concerns for yourself or with family members, or work is challenging or money's tight, whatever those challenges are. Maybe football compounds those negative feelings. And that's when I think it's the right time to maybe take a step back and try not to take football as seriously. Football should be escapism. And I know for me, there's several times when I've been going through challenging times, and football has been escapism for me. But I think if football becomes a thing where it really stresses you out, causes pain, causes anxiety, doesn't help you, I think it's time to take a step back. And also, if you have mates who message you, and the moment they message you, it ruins your life as well, and you're in a bad mood and all that kind of stuff, and you can't take it on the chin in a healthy way, that's when I think it's the right time to take a step back. So I just wanted to put that out there and get some feedback, see what you think. Do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you disagree? Do you think football is just a game and people take it too seriously? It shouldn't be taken too seriously. What do you think? I'd love to know what you think. So by all means, please leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you think about whether it's time to take a step back from football, whether you feel like that, or whether you think you should just keep going. This is Football City. My name is Marcus Lee. I'm all about your mental health being in a good place, my mental health being in a good place, all of our mental health being in a good place. So let me know what you think in the comments. It's Football City. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one, and take care.